What's up, market snipers? Welcome back. This is Jesse. It's not 9 a.m. It's not a live stream. It's 5:22 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're getting started here. We're just after the Bitcoin weekly candle close. Just closed about 22 minutes ago, so we're going to get into it. This Bitcoin update, we're going to cover the higher and the lower time frames. And is this 12 and a half Bitcoin correction over? Is it time to buy the dip? We'll talk about that based off the lower time frames. We'll cover the higher time frames. And if you stay all the way until the end, I've got one more possible Bitcoin path to $100,000. So stay tuned and smash that like button and smash that subscribe button over here. We got over here, subscribe and smash that like button over there. Help me, help you, help me. Now, let's jump right into it. We're going to try to keep this video 10, 15 minutes. Hopefully you don't run over. Got to go get some dinner with the wife. So got to get going. Also send this out later tonight through the newsletter. So be on the lookout for that. Bitcoin monthly chart is still ultra bullish, right? We know that. The candle flipped from green to orange back here. We've been talking about it for more than a month now, even going back to a previous Bitcoin video. And even before, even on all the live streams we've been talking about and covering it, even before the candle flipped from green to orange, we were talking, it looked very similar to November 2020. So in the previous video, we talked about that more. We won't get into it too much here. Here we are. Still feels like December 2020. Obviously, each cycle and each bull run is going to be different, but there are a lot of similarities, and it does feel like we're right here at about December 20. And it did pump all the way up to about 73,750-ish, depending on what exchange you're looking at, the top wick. And so we talked about that there could be a correction, and since the month is only halfway through, right? By the end of the month, it could still come all the way back up and close up here, possibly even higher, right? So we'll keep an eye on it. But regardless, even if it closes here at 68,000 at the end of the month, which is still, again, we're barely halfway through the month, it would be a bullish monthly candle, and it would be the highest monthly candle close ever. So nothing about that to me says that it's bearish, right? So a lot of people get bearish. But as we work our way down, right, we're going to work our way down from the monthly down to the 2-week chart. The 2-week chart is still ultra bullish, had the highest 2-week candle close ever on the last one. We work our way down to the weekly chart, and not this last candle that just closed 25 minutes ago, but the candle before that was the highest weekly candle close ever, right? So you can kind of see where I'm going with this trend. The longer term trend is ultra bullish. Yes, it's getting a little bit extended away from those trending dots, getting a little bit extended away from the moving averages, right? So you expect some sort of consolidation, whether that's sideways, we've got some wicks to the downside based off the lower time frames, and so on and so on. So we know that the weekly, the 2-week, and the monthly chart are all still ultra bullish, right? So let's keep going. Now we're down to the daily chart. So the daily chart was getting overextended. It was a huge move from about $42,000 all the way above $72,000, a $30,000 move for Bitcoin at least, right? From the last buy signal, not counting from wick to wick. From wick to wick, it was about $35,000. So with that, there's still no sell signal, and a higher probability that we would even see lower possible targets aren't even really on the table yet, unless you start to see like a sell signal. If it does not get back above the trading dots, or if it comes up, just above the trading dots, or a little bit higher, or a little bit lower, and puts in a lower high. If it starts putting a lower high and there's starting to be a sell signal, then that could suggest that we're going to go, we could go much lower or consolidate for a longer period of time. But until that happens, the daily chart is still bullish. Let's keep going because we do have a correction down here. So we're going to switch over to this other Bitcoin chart, and we're going to drop down to the 8-hour chart over here, because that's what I basically been covering on, the Discord and Twitter X app, because we're watching this on lower time frames, right? So we're talking about the next possible buy the dip scenario, and here, excuse me, here we are. So if we kind of take a look at this from this last pivot over here, not on the daily pivot, which was at 42,000, but this last pivot on the 8-hour chart also had an amazing run from 51,000 all the way up to the 73,000. So even the 8-hour chart, there was a sell signal, but it kind of just went sideways, as you can see. But even this last buy signal on the 8-hour chart, you're starting to get in these lower time frames. You can see that broke out above this white horizontal trend line is the previous highest monthly candle close, right? So I have that. Actually, it was wasn't the highest, it was the second highest. It was based off of the highest of early 2021. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, go back to the previous Bitcoin video and I talk about that more, or the previous one or two Bitcoin video updates. I talk about there, or the live streams, right? So went above it. The correction, there's two dots. The correction is done at target 2. So it hit target 2 back here on Friday, pumped back up. Looks like it put in a lower high. So before we get to the two scenarios, let's just kind of do a quick recap. So price went above, right? Pretty far and fast up to the upside. Created this rising wedge on the lower time frames, not really on the daily or the higher time frames, but in the lower ones. We were watching it on the 4-hour as well. So you got the 4-hour chart over here, and you can see that it started to break back down in the 4-hour chart back on Thursday, about this time on Thursday. So was that 1, 2, 4 days ago, right? Sell signal came back down, came all the way back up, back tested those trending dots, and then came all the way down to target 2, pumped up, put in a lower high, came down to the bottom of target 2, and then kind of pumped back up above the trending dots. So that's the 4-hour chart. That's the 8-hour chart. And that's what we were kind of watching. And if you're not following me over on the Twitter X app, I think you should, just because we've been covering this on there, going all the way back to the 14th, right? Obviously, we've been covered on the live streams as well, but you can see that I was even posting this on the Twitter X app. So if you want to be a part of the videos, the live streams, the free newsletter, and possibly even Discord, definitely you can go find us over there, and you will never miss a chart over there, right? It's not a copy trading service, but I try to post the charts as timely as possible, right? So that's what it is over there. So let's keep going. So I did post this over there. Like it, repost it, comment, do all that stuff. Help me, help you, help me. And let's keep going. So here we are on the 8-hour chart. We got this rising wedge. It broke down. Multiple candle closes below the trending dots. Trending dots are now starting to trend downward, right? 2 targets have been hit so far. And so we have 2 scenarios that could play out. This is the 8-hour chart. So scenario number 1, right? Scenario number 1, the bottom is in and only 2 targets got hit to the downside. This was it. Comes back up, starts closing above like this area here. If you start getting candle closes back above here, most likely it's also above like the trending dots, and then it's getting closer to this trend line. And then if price starts breaking out to the upside, most likely that would mean that that is the conclusion of the next possible buy the dip scenario. And it was a 12.5% correction based off of lower time frames. So it's not huge. It's not like it was a 30% correction. So that is scenario 1, right? It's too early to say that scenario 1 is going to play out. As of right now, when the 8-hour chart is still bearish, it's too early to call it. Again, based off of the lower time frames. But we are still believing that it's I obviously none of this is financial advice. Obviously, this is for educational purposes only, and hopefully we can find a little bit of entertainment along the way, right? But the reason why we think it's the next buy the dip scenario is the monthly chart is ultra bullish, the 2-week chart, the weekly chart are ultra bullish, daily chart is bullish, right? So when the higher time frames are bullish, that's when we think it's buy the dip scenario. So even when it corrects on a lower time frame, we're expecting the dip to get bought up, right? So I'd still be waiting for a higher probability reversal. You can see I kind of drew this trend line down from just from point to point there and extended it out. And of course, getting outside of this yellow dotted trend line is a higher probability. Of course, if it's back above the trending dots, starting to look like a pending buy signal, all that stuff, right? Getting back above would be higher. And then I put this horizontal line here, would say, hey, if you get a close above there, that's another milestone, taking out this pivot point here. So then along with the higher time frames, right? So that would be like scenario one. Scenario two is this creates another. So you've got down, a lower high, down. If it creates another lower high, then it would come down like this to target 3. Maybe it comes back up, puts in a higher low at that point, and that would be the next buy the dip scenario. So both scenarios are based on the buy the dip scenario. So whether it's going to be a more shallow retracement, or it's going to be a little bit deeper correction over here, kind of reset everything. It's possible it comes all the way back down here. And of course, there's 4 targets for a reason, right? There's 4 targets for a reason. And it could come all the way back down to the 4th target here, which is also that monthly horizontal trend line. So if that is the case, I would be expecting, heading into the end of the month, a possible big move up to the upside after that. That would kind of reset a lot of things on the daily chart. It would come back, and you would think that more buyers would step in instead of just chasing all the way up here. You kind of see like a correction, a consolidation, stuff like that. And of course, as time goes on, as we start to see more, scenario play out with the candles and stuff like that, there might be a more aggressive breakout all the way down here, right? So as of right now, this is kind of like the preliminary, whether it's up here, here, or all the way down here, or if there's a more aggressive trend line breakout to the upside that presents itself in the future. That's what we will be watching. So with that, we're 12 minutes in. That is the 2 scenarios. They're both buy the dip scenarios. And now I wanted to show you one possible path once this correction is over, and once we're getting into the next possible buy the dip scenario on the lower time frames. The higher time frames don't even have a sell signal yet, like the daily chart. So we're just purely talking about these lower time frames because the higher time frames are still bullish. Could it start breaking down the higher time frames? Sure. And if so, then we would be starting to switch to scenario 2 that we just laid out for a little bit deeper correction, and then we'll continue to cover that over there. So with that, here is the path. We're going to jump on to the 2-week chart over here. So I want to go to the 2-week chart. And before we get into it, I just want to kind of talk about it real quick, where I'm pulling this idea from, right? So again, when we talked about going, that it was very similar to December 2020, right? So you got this big 2-week candle up, right? And now this 2-week candle is halfway through, and it could be more of a consolidation candle sideways, right? What if it continues to play out similar to, you can see this is December 2020, and then this is getting into January and mid-January over here. So you can kind of see where it pumped up. It was a big candle in December, and then there's 2 candles that corrected. That in that instance, it went down 30%, and it consolidated for about a month. You can see 2-week candles. So with that, you kind of see that RSI almost is very similar in height as well. Back then on December, that same candle, December 2020, it was about, the RSI was about 89. And this last weekly candle, 2-week candle, was closed at 88, right? So a lot of similarities, not quite as high, but very, it was like 1 RSI off, right? So it's possible. And so if you kind of see this pattern here, what if that something similar developed over there? That means that this, you can start putting in bearish divergence. Could start putting in bearish divergence, and let's kind of talk about it right now. So let's clean these up. I don't know what they're from. They're from old drawings, I guess, but let's clean that up real quick just so it doesn't get confusing or anything like that. And you kind of see, like, if you just draw this out here, and it doesn't mean it's going to play out exactly the same, right? So you got this, and then what if something similar played out? Here, let's go like this, and let's go clone this. Oh, we gotta try to keep this under. Oh, it's already at 15 minutes. Here we go. We gotta go a little bit faster. So what if there's bearish divergence like this? You got bearish divergence like this, and then you get into over here. Here, let's take this off, take this off, take this off. You can see that this would also be possible bearish divergence, right? Kind of looking at it. And so I pulled this fractal here from here, and you can see if RSI starts to go down similar to last time, this is just an idea, just another crazy Jesse idea. So don't take it as it's going to happen. We laid out in the last Bitcoin video, we laid out like 3 different possible paths that all reached ANF target 1 and possibly higher. This one, based on the 2-week chart, kind of see, like, kind of zoom out. Like, the more you zoom out, the higher it goes, right? Obviously, but you can see that if it is still similar to like the 2-week chart and December 2020, you can see that after that, it pumps up really high over here. So you get another big candle over here, probably gets you up into like the 80,000s, not showing wicks. This does not show wicks. So even on like this candle here could have a huge wick up, right? It's possible it has a huge wick up, comes back down. The volatility is there, but you start to see candle closes go sideways, and then it closes higher, goes sideways, closes higher. I don't expect it to play out exactly, but there are so many similarities and a lot of feelings that it feels similar to it did in November 2020. It still does as December 2020 in March. And we'll see. We'll see how it works out, see how it continues to play out. And maybe it even goes higher. Who knows? But with the wicks all the way up to ANF target 1 and stuff like that too. So with that, that is another possible Bitcoin path based off of the 2-week chart and a lot of similarities to the last Bitcoin bull run at the end of 2020, early 2021. With that, again, help me, help you, help me. Smash that like button, smash the subscribe button, and I hope you all have a good weekend. We will see you on the live stream Monday morning, sharp 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we'll continue to sniper the markets together. Thank you. I hope you have a good night.